Hey everybody, I'm Ryan, and this is another episode of I almost said the old show because we were talking about it. This is no longer Small Business Delivered. I have grown and I've matured to where I can say shit and talk and stuff. But anyway, so it's Business Uncensored. And today we're going to be talking about money.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Money is one of those things that people all have an opinion about. Kind of depends on how much you have, kind of like oxygen. If you have enough, do you have enough? How you get enough investments, all of those things that I don't understand. And we're going to learn a lot about today. And I'm really excited about my guest, Angela Duncan from Empower Her Money. And welcome to the show. Let's just start with welcomes. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about what you do, just so we have kind of a reference why you're an expert in the questions I'm going to be asking.
So currently I create tax burdens for my clients. I help them invest in the very exciting world of tax liens and just help them create passive income, grow their wealth while they're busy doing their everyday jobs.
So on the passive income front, right? So there's a lot of things out there, from lowball to being an influencer to being affiliate links to property investment to car washes to turnkey, whatever. And there's so many scams out there. What does a legitimate passive income look like?
Yeah. So passive income means you put your money somewhere, you do absolutely nothing, and you collect a check. That to me is a passive income opportunity.
Shut up and take my money.
And what give us some examples of an actual passive income opportunity.
Yeah. So for us, we have a fund. You write a check, you put money in the fund, and depending on which investment, you either get paid quarterly or annually, and you're just getting a check. We don't want you to do any work. You do not underwrite real estate. You don't need to know anything about tax liens or title searches or how, the government works, any of that stuff. You write a check and then we pay you back some interest for utilizing your funds to do what we do.
So everybody's kind of put in a pool and this pool becomes an investment. That investment goes out and becomes invested. That investment gets returns and you just get a return on that. But that seems like in the world of that, there could be people that are not quite honest with that. So how do you, if you're wanting to do this, how do you make sure the person you're writing the check to isn't just buying themselves a pool and you get nothing?
Right. Do your research. You got to know what you're investing in. Get to know the person that you are talking to. Myself, I've been in real estate for 20 plus years. And so I'm not afraid to open up my Excel spreadsheet because I'm super nerdy and I can show you what I've invested in. You can go look up the assets if you want. Most of it, I live in Florida, is public records. You can see what my house looks like. You can see what my investments look like. But if someone asks me, show me where your money is, I'm going to show it to you. And I think honesty is very important when you come to investing. And if the person who's teaching you about it isn't willing to show you what they've done, then I would run.
Okay. So I give you a fat check, you go invest it. Of course, you're going to get a commission and we're both making money. You're not doing this because you're nice. You're doing this for an income. What is the right amount of commission that you're going to take and percentage I'm going to see?
Yeah. So what you earn, I earn about 10% of what you earn. So the whole point of this is because we truly want to help people. Mm-hmm. If you're going into helping people with their money and your mission is not aligned with your heart, and for me, I'm a heart-centered person, then you're in the wrong business. And I think you can tell that when you talk to people, because I'm going to make sure that you're earning 10 times as much as I do.
Well, yeah, I mean, because you can't like I know other commissions, other investments, sometimes they're up to 30, 40%. Like it's really hard. So this sounds good to me. So if I'm a schlub off the street, and let's just pretend that's hard to do, I know, because I am. But what would be a normal investment into a program like this? Is it like $500, 5,000, 500,000? What does the investment look like into this?
Yeah. So first, let's back up a little bit. This is what's called a private investment, right? We're not talking stock market where you can go and put $100 in an E-Trade account. This does take a little bit of experience when it comes to investing in a fund because the whole system is not created fairly, right? These private investments are typically reserved for wealthy people. They have certain criteria that you have to meet in order to invest in a fund, you've got to make a certain amount of money. You have to have a certain amount, like net worth. And we scratch that. We don't want to make it so that it's only available to wealthy people. But at the same time, I'm going to sit down with you and I'm going to talk through what you're currently doing, because this is not meant to be every penny that you're investing. This is just a piece of the portfolio. And so that's part of my due diligence, to make sure that you understand what we're doing and to make sure that this is not all of your investments. But it's really meant for people who are just too busy to kind of do their own research, to find their own properties, to understand what a tax lien is and how that ranks compared to a mortgage, or, what other things that you should be looking for. We drive by properties because, well, you don't want to earn dirt. I don't want to invest in dirt, and I don't want to invest your money in dirt either. So there's a lot in the due diligence process, but understanding what a private investment is versus the stock market or any other vehicles like you talked about, a car wash, or I know nothing about Instagram or affiliate marketing. I mean, that to me is just super complicated. I don't even invest in crypto because I just don't understand it. So
Right.
I want to invest in something that I understand. And, there's tons of like real estate shows that try and teach you how to flip this house and make 100%. Well, I don't really understand all of that for me to teach to other people. So I'm going to invest in what I know, and I'm going to teach what I know. And I think when you sit down and have a conversation with someone, you can tell when they're truly passionate about something and when they're knowledgeable, because you can throw at them a million questions and they're going to answer it right away for you. And if they say, I'm not sure, let me get back to you. Oh, that's a great question. Then again, this is like a red flag. Another time that you're just going to run away from them.
So you seem like very honest. You work very hard for your clients. You say you're a nerd with spreadsheets or whatever. Have you ever just screwed up really bad?
Oh, yeah.
It's over. We are screwed.
Because we get to be experts, right? There's a couple fields where I'm comfortable saying I'm an expert in this field, right? And sometimes that has been a process of elimination learning because I fucked up. I screwed up a campaign. I invested. One of my favorite ones was this last company I worked for. I got put at director of marketing, and I'm there. I'm looking at where our own marketing budget is allocated, and I shifted something. Well, I really shouldn't have, because it brought every single one of our internal leads to a halt. We literally, our marketing died that day, and then it took us a good 3 to 6 months to fix that. And I had to go with my hat in my hand when they're like, everybody's like, why is this Sky? And I'm like, oh, I did that. And then you have to go learn that. So tell me about sometime you screwed up like that, because it's honest. It's honest as long as you learned after it. But tell me about something about that.
Yeah. So I'll give you one from way back in the day, and then I'll give you a recent one.
Okay.
When I first, I grew up in poverty, like Section 8 housing, welfare, lived in motels, couches, parks, cars, you name it, all before the time I was 15 years old. So I didn't know anything about money. And when I started on this journey, I walked into a bank. I said, I have $100, which was a lot of money to me back then. And I said, I want to invest. And the lady probably chuckled at me a little bit, didn't ask any questions, handed me a pamphlet and said, mail your check in. So I did. And I lost 20% my first year, which was huge for me because, we work hard for our money. But the point of that is we've all lost money somewhere. And my fault for not being educated on what I was investing in. I thought if I walked in and I sent away a check, some magical thing would happen and I would earn money. Did not happen that way, but I didn't give up either. I just became a student, right? I want to learn about investing so I can teach other people about investing. Now, fast forward 20 plus years later, I went into a partnership and I bought an apartment complex in Texas. I live in Florida. I don't know a lot about Texas, and I probably should have done a lot more due diligence than I did, not only on the property, but the partners. And guess what? We're in this very tough commercial market right now. And the bank decided it was going to take back the property because, well, interest rates adjusted and we did not plan properly. So I lost a big chunk of money on that investment, but I learned. It's like the most expensive lessons you can learn when you lose money. But learn, get back up, do it again.
Oh my God!
So I have to ask this question too. In just the ethos of America right now, there is a big rental issue. with rental properties, housing properties, houses, corporations investing in not commercial properties, but residential living, which tends to drive the rate up, which now we have, like back 20 years ago, it was just, here's my mortgage plus 20%, that's your rent. But now we have investors backing this. I have no ethical stance on this, by the way, but you're in the middle of this. So how do you, on your side of it, how do you balance that? Because you can't price the people out, but you have to return on investment. So how do you, as an investor and somebody that's investing in residential properties, how do you ethically balance this?
Yeah, I don't look at things ethically. I'm a numbers person. I talked about the spreadsheets. That's all I look at. I look at the numbers. Does it make sense? And is it going to be a viable investment? I think our economy, especially in the US, has really shifted from the American dream of owning a house to what makes sense for my family. And a lot more people are opting to rent. When it's cheaper to rent than to buy a home, you should not be buying a home. You should be renting. And then, because there's so many other ways that you can take that extra money, put it to work, and then grow your money. And if interest rates come down or housing prices come back down a little bit, it's like this up and down mix, and it's always going to be constant in the economy. So again, it's not an ethical thing. It's just a numbers thing. And that's what they're looking at when they come in and buy like those big communities and then rent them out, or we call them build to rent communities. Yeah. It's because they know we need housing. People are always going to need a roof over their head. And how do we solve that problem? By creating investment opportunities. It's a numbers game. It has nothing to do with emotion.
No, that's perfectly fair. Because I know right now I'm in a weird situation because I rent currently. I got married last year. We needed 4 bedrooms for all of our kids. There was nothing, and prices are insane. Like especially last year, interest rates are the highest they've been in forever. Right now, it doesn't make sense to buy a house. Right. It just doesn't, because if I go find a 4-bedroom house and you got to understand, these prices might be shocking because I'm in the middle of nowhere. But like if I go to buy a 2,400 square foot house with 4 bedrooms, it's like $1,700 a month because I live in nowhere, which is relatively cheap. But to rent that house that somebody bought before the bubble is $1,200. Right. So why would I do that? So I actually have a friend that owns an apartment building, and they're 4plexes, and we just rented a whole floor. So now we just rented the whole floor for the family. And that's how we live now. We have a little back connector hallway. And me and my wife just this morning was talking about, when should we buy a house? And we don't know, because we went out and kind of looked around and kind of poked around, and we're like, not yet, because it just seems insane right now to go out and invest in a house with interest rates and mortgages so high at the moment.
Yeah, but if you think about what you just described, so Fannie Mae has a product where if you buy a 4-unit like apartments or less, you can only put down 5%. So you go in, occupy one, you rent out the other 3, they're paying your mortgage. That's going to make sense for you. So perhaps it's just a mind shift of, since you're used to now living around other people, maybe you need to consider a multifamily purchase instead of a single family home, so that you can rent it to pay your mortgage. And then the numbers start to make more sense for you.
I tried that, and the dude that I rent from bought them all. So we're just waiting for one to come up. Because to explain where I live, have you ever seen the show Ozark?
I actually don't have any cable or subscriptions. I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
For viewers out there, that's where I live. So yeah, it's the middle of nowhere. I live in a town of 15,000 people in southern Missouri.
No, God, please, no.
No, I've lived in California, New York, all over, but I did come back here because housing prices was cheaper, and this is where I'm from. And now I can babble in a microphone from anywhere in the world. So, so you seem to be somebody that moves through, like you said, you grew up in abject poverty. When did it really become your life's work of investing and basically money farming? When did that become your desire? Was it at that point that you lost $20, or did you have some other jobs or some other adventures in there before you got to where you were at?
No. So when I was in high school, I just remember like getting made fun of, not having clothes, having to get like free school lunch, which was awful. I hate Taco Bell because it was what we had every single Friday.
Right.
So when I was 18 and able to sign my own lease, I was like, this will never be my life. I will not ever be in poverty again. And I think that really pushed me. And I think that's something that I teach people too, is like, that was a huge advantage. Growing up in poverty for me was a huge advantage because I had nothing to lose. So you don't have that fear of like, oh
Yeah.
shit,
You're a
I might
survivalist. Yeah.
lose. Right. So
Yeah.
I'm in that mode. I spent my entire life learning about money. It just fascinates me and it makes sense. And it doesn't to most people. And I think I found that out later on in life. And I want to be able to just teach people simple stuff because it's not supposed to be scary. It's just a tool. It helps you get to where you need to go, just like your car or anything else that you're using in life. But yeah, I went through a lot of different hats, so to speak, from a financial advisor, real estate agent, insurance agent, podcast speaker, just finding different avenues. Like, how do we reach more people? How do we teach money? How do we make it simple? Because there's no reason we should have poverty in this country. In this country, there's so many opportunities and ways to get out of poverty. It's just educating people. And then those people actually have to take action.
Why do you think we don't educate people about money? Is it a tinfoil hat of the government just wants to keep people down? Is it because high schools are just ill-equipped? But I remember there's like no economics classes anymore. I've got a bunch of kids going through school. They're teaching math, but they're not teaching economics. They're not teaching how to not be poor. Like, where's your resource? Because if you're going to a public high school in Missouri, just like you said, if you're going to a public high school in a small town in Missouri or Florida, wherever you're at, they're not teaching you how to not be that person anymore. They're not teaching you how to grow, how to flourish. Why do you think that we have such a lack of teaching people money?
I think so. If you think about the school system in general and where it started, right? When the education system was put together, we were a nation of employees. You had big companies and they worked for a company. So we're taught to sit in a line, be quiet, listen to the leader. Don't, think outside of the box. Here's your information. That's all we're given to you. And we've never really changed that whole school system to adapt to today. And you still have government that wants to, they create tax codes for business owners, but it doesn't help the poverty level, right? So it's still an unfair and unbalanced system to help the wealthier and the business owners in the country. Until that shifts and hits our school system, I don't think that that's going to change. And unfortunately, it's the responsibility of a parent today to have to learn and then teach their kids, right? Which I did for my daughter, but that's very difficult for people who've never learned. Like, how do you teach something you've never learned? I can't teach people how to cook because I suck at it, but you've got to, have like this shift in how the country teaches their own people. And we see it in other countries, but we just don't see it very present here in the US. I don't know the answer to that. I just know where we started it. And obviously we've come a little bit of ways, but it's the school system that's still failing for our country.
I would agree with that to an extent. Yeah. Because the whole school system was so we could all have the same average education or knowledge as we entered the workforce. That was all it was for. Then college was, hey, let's extend that. 25, 30, 40 years ago, you didn't need college. You could go get a tradesman. We've kind of reversed back to that again, that you can be a tradesman, you can be whatever. But I think I grew up, I wasn't in poverty. It started out in poverty. My dad got a good job. We kind of rose up. Then my dad just became extremely cheap, which taught me the wrong values about money, right? Because just being cheap does not mean you're good with money. It's just being like, okay, we're going to all wear hand-me-downs and do this, and I'm going to have a big bank account full of money doesn't mean you're good with money either. You have to be educated about how to make it grow, how to make it work for you, what to spend it on, what not to spend it on. Being able to go, yeah, we can buy some shit off Amazon this week, but we have to set these budgets and we have to set things. So take a minute and educate and give us a couple things that we don't know, that generally you found the public doesn't know about money, and it just surprises you we don't know this about money.
Yeah. So I think we've become a nation of convenience, and most people don't even open their credit card statements anymore because you just charge everything you do in life to your credit card, and just if you're paying it off, great. If you're making your minimum payment, that sucks. But they don't pay attention to what they're spending money to. So when you ask people, like, how much money do you spend on gas this month? Most people have no clue. And there's apps that are free that are available for you to use. We also subscribe to many things. I talked to you earlier. I said, I don't watch TV. I don't have cable because for me, it's an expense that doesn't make sense. It's not helping me. And I would rather be doing other things. That's my preference. So there's apps like Rocket Money that will help you figure out what subscriptions do you have? Do you really need these? If not, they'll help you cancel it. And they're free apps. Yeah, they're going to grab your information, get your email, and put you on a crazy campaign of email lists.
Like I'm not on 847 of those anyway.
Yeah. Sign up for junk email so you can use it and like just, not get any of that stuff in your real email box. But I think there's just like simple tools like that people don't understand. Like I live in Miami. I have a garage. If I wasn't using my garage, there's an app I can rent that out. If I want to make money on the side, I can go walk dogs or clean houses, and there's apps for that. I mean, technology has taken us so far that there's ways for you to not only cut out your expenses, but create more income so that you can get to the goals that you want to be. But I think people just forget that you have to take action. It's not going to just happen for you. You got to go find the resource, take action, put it in your life, and kind of change your own habits in order to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, because it kind of bleeds into hustle culture a little bit that, there's money out there. You just have to go get it. You have to find that. You have to. I didn't know about the garage app. That's kind of cool. But it's like, but we've seen with Airbnb, sometimes that gets a little out of control because you've seen this huge collapse in Airbnb because people, I don't understand it 100%, but what I've understand by reading it is people went out and they seen Airbnb working. They went out and bought a bunch of houses, listed them on Airbnb. Airbnb kind of went sideways in the media and by reputation. And now people are stuck with these houses they can't pay for. Do you see that? Do you see that in real estate investing as well?
Yeah, absolutely. South Florida. And the biggest part of that is the government can change the laws at any time and you have no say. And so like Miami Beach, for example, the hotels probably did a big push on this, but they outlawed Airbnbs on Miami Beach. Why? Because tourism brings money into the city. And so does the hotels. Hotels pay tax and it brings money into the city. And so, you don't control what happens in the government in that instance. You go back to tax liens. Like this is why I like tax liens, because if you don't pay your property taxes, the government sells that tax lien and guarantees what interest rate they're going to pay you because they need the money for investing. They're not going to change the laws on that because we're helping them to run their budget and their government versus us being an Airbnb owner that pays such a small little tax that they're going to change the law anytime and outlaw it because, well, they've got bigger people with bigger pockets pushing different agendas.
So explain to me real quick as we finish up here, how does one invest in a tax lien? Like you keep saying this and you might as well be speaking Swahili because I don't know any of this. So I just know what a tax lien is, that somebody owes taxes and the government takes a lien out on the property. Am I correct up to this point? All right. Yes. Basics. So how does one invest in that?
Okay, I'm going to give Florida as an example because only half the states offer this and every state varies a little bit. So in the state of Florida, if you don't pay your taxes, yes, a lien gets placed on that property. That lien, just like a piece of paper, gets sold. So I log into the online portal for the county that you live in and I see what's available for sale. Well, I'm going to go drive by that property, make sure there's a house there, do a little bit of research, figure out if there's other liens on the property, and then I bid on that tax lien. Florida pays 18% interest. So say you didn't pay $5,000 worth of your taxes, right, on your property. I can buy that tax lien. The county of Miami is going to pay me 18% interest, just like a bank CD. And either they sell the property or the property owner pays the taxes. Either way, the county gets their money back at some point. I get my money back plus the interest. So 18%. Why not? Why would I put in a 5% bank account when I can buy a lien on a property that's guaranteed by the government because, well, they get their money no matter what, and it's a much higher percentage rate? I don't know why anyone invests in savings accounts.
No, savings account, I think, is the thing that all of our grandmas did to us, right? That grandma was like, come on, we're going to go down here and put $2 in your savings account. And I think for your average, I don't know what phrase we use anymore. Poor Americans are destitute, income deficient, whatever it is.
Undereducated.
I think savings account, I think a lot of people don't have them. Right. I remember when I bottomed out my life one time, it was just a big deal to have a couple $100 in savings, right? Or a few $100 in savings. And then I built up and I had a few thousand in savings. And it was just, it was, I played the savings game. How much money can I get and stuff into this account? Later on, because I wasn't educated, I should have had that other places. I should have been doing other things with it to pull that money out. But I think when you come from a point of poverty, just having a savings account is a big deal. And I don't think anybody really knows what tier 2 on that is.
Right. Like, where do I go from here? Great. Got a savings account, that's a big thing. And taxing is a vehicle. I don't suggest it as your whole portfolio. But I also talk about retirement. Like, retirement should be your first focus. If you're not in credit card debt, retirement should be first. You can get a loan for a car, you can get a loan for education, you can get a loan for a house, but no one's giving you a loan when you hit retirement. And then what?
I think Alex Trebek, before he died, said I could reverse mortgage my home, or was that Tom Selleck? Which is just sounds like a bad idea.
Don't do that, because you don't own your home at the end of the day. They
right.
do.
I know.
All your life for a house, and then you don't own it anymore.
You just could tell that was shady, that they're just taking advantage of desperate old people. That just seemed like one of the shadiest things ever. So, so how do we get a hold of you? How do we find you? Cause this has been so much fun talking to you. And one of the things that I like to do, cause I'm a squirrely bastard, is that I just like to ask like different questions, and man, you were right there with the answers. So I think my viewers are going to feel the same way. Cause when you come with weird answers and questions, or come with weird questions, but you knew what I was going to ask, even probably before I asked it. So how do we get a hold of you? How do we find you? How do we take advantage of your services?
Yeah. So Instagram, Empower Her Money. And if you message me the word quiz, I'm going to send you a quiz so you can figure out what kind of investor you are. Empower Her Money is also my website. So empowerhermoney.com.
Thank you so much, Angela, for coming on the show. I cursed more than you. It was so funny. The episode that I did just before here is that the dude on here said one curse word, and because I know the guy and he's very respectful, but yeah, he said one curse word and I said none. I've managed to get a couple in here. But anyway,
you haven't seen me driving. That in Miami, that's when the curse words come out.
Pretend you're driving.
No.
Okay.
I'm keeping this good image right here.
All right. If I'm ever in Miami, I'm going to look for you in traffic. It's over here. This has been Business Uncensored. My name is Ryan Shear. You can check all of our other shows out on Small Business Delivered. That network is there. We got about 60,000 impressions a month on our network. So if you want to join that network, give me a call. Also, if you want a podcast of your very own and you want it to look all spiffy like we do, you can call me or you can send me a message at ryan@titanmediaworks.com. We make it really easy. We're going to send you a link. We're going to send your guest a link. You're going to come in here. You're going to talk. And then a few days later, magically through what we do is you're going to get your completed professional podcast with show notes, clips, everything that you could ever imagine to get started. Podcasting could be a giant marketing tool, but it's an investment of time or money. We're the money investment. It's not going to be as much as you think. So that's titanmediaworks.com. Thank you so much again, Angela, for stopping by.
Thank you.